All right, so now let's put all this together. And this is going to be your recovery plan, your recovery program. And when we talk about are you working your program, it's a matter of are you engaging in this set of practices, this set of habits, these commitments that I've made. Recovery is a program of action. It's not about knowing things, it's about doing things. And so working a program is about following the guidelines or commitments that you set to say that doing these things are what's going to enable me to have change in my life. So your recovery plan, again, if you look at this, you can sort of extrapolate this now from the 3-circle plan. Your recovery is really about, your recovery program is about certain things that you avoid, and obviously we're talking about the points of sobriety, but also, the map, but also what are those specific boundaries you've set for yourself to keep you out of those middle circle things. So what you're saying is, to work my plan of recovery, here's the set of things that I'm going to abstain from, I'm going to remove from my life. But then the second part is, and maybe most important part, is what are some things that you do? What are some things that you're adding to your life? Recovery is not just about the things we're taking out of our lives, but it's what we're putting into our lives. The things that support recovery. And this, again, is part of that outer circle things. But I do want to specify here, to do a recovery plan, I want to specify there's a few things we want to be sure is in that list of things that you're committing to do or committing to put into your life. First is daily recovery work. Doing a little something every day. And in this program, that is the daily materials that you are given to read, and then that's some sort of recovery assignment, and there's further reading if you'd like to do that with the Hazelden meditations that I give links to. But doing a little something every day. And if and when you leave this program, at some point you actually, the materials will end after 6 months, then you can transition to doing a little something every day would involve doing some kind of other recovery reading, some kind of other recovery task. If you're involved in a 12-step program or some other recovery program, you can use that material, those assignments, as part of what you're doing every day. That, again, I've said this before, but I believe is one of the core commitments for what enables us to have healthy long-term recovery. Doing a little something every day. That's, in this program, that's a commitment we want to focus on implementing this first month. And then we'll continue to do that and build other commitments in later. That's commitment 1. The second practice or habit that we would want to encourage everyone to have in recovery would be to participate in some kind of support group on a regular basis, ideally at least weekly. Some people choose to be in a couple of different groups each week. But a recovery group would be like-minded people who share your struggle and are working to overcome it, are working towards sobriety. We have a lot of questions about, well, does it work for me to be in a Celebrate Recovery group and other people have other addictions and I have my sex addiction, how does that work? Well, it can work, but ideally we want to find a face-to-face group that we're a part of, that it's people who are working on sexual issues. And for some of us, we just don't have that. We don't have access to that. And maybe what we might do is participate in this program and then find some other program to supplement it. And then after some months of being in this program, we might launch a program ourselves. We might be the leader of a program down the line where we're helping other people in their sexual struggle. So the focus of the second month in this program is going to be to build on the daily habits we've been implementing and to participate in some kind of weekly group. Many of you are probably already in some kind of weekly group. That's cool. So keep doing that, keep building on that. But again, the focus of month 2 in this program is going to be getting into a group, committing to a group, making sure you're in the right group, that's a key part of recovery program. The third key habit, third commitment, is what I'm calling daily contact with supportive friends. Some people will talk about having a daily phone call, making phone calls. And I want to expand it to not just be phone calls, but I just call it daily contact. Maybe you'll meet someone for coffee or have lunch with somebody. Maybe you'll get together some evening. Or if you have let's say a support group meeting some night, you'll talk with some people before or afterwards. That can be your recovery connection that day. But this is a big deal. For many of us, it's a big change to think about having every day some kind of connection, some kind of contact with another supportive person, whether that be over the phone or in person. And the idea here is we're getting out of isolation, and we're starting to relate to people in a different way, a deeper way. And in the program, this recovery journey program, this habit is the focus of month 3. So that we've been doing something every day, we add a group, and then we're adding this commitment of making contacts with someone at least every day. The fourth commitment, the fourth thing we want to encourage everyone to have as part of their recovery program is an ongoing relapse prevention plan. It's what we need to do, what we need to have in place to keep us from falling. And if we slip or stumble, we have a plan in place to make sure that we don't fall, that it's just a slip or a stumble. See? So we talk, and we'll talk about this in future trainings, but the difference between a slip and a relapse. Slipping is when you do something initially. Relapse is when you keep going down that path. We want to do whatever we can to avoid slips, and if we have slips, we want to do whatever we can to make sure that that's just a slip and not a relapse. So a relapse prevention plan. That's the commitment in this program. That's what we're going to be focusing on in the 4th month, implementing that or making sure that that's in place for everyone. Another commitment we want to invite people to make, I think, is a key part of a recovery program for people who are in marriage relationships, is to do something, to have some pattern of developing intimacy or building intimacy with your spouse. And notice that the focus of this, or that this is a focus later in the program. This would be the 5th month of the program. The idea is we're doing a lot of work and we establish some traction in our personal recovery before we're expecting or hoping to build in our relationship with our spouse. And of course, there's no timeline for this. Some people might be many months into recovery before they really begin to see some renewal in their marriage relationship. Other people find that or experience that renewal and are really building their relational intimacy early on in the program. But in terms of how we're creating our steps of commitment, we want to focus on that in the 5th month. And we'll have some teaching about how to do this, but some habits of building intimacy, not sexual intimacy so much, but just emotional intimacy with our spouse. And then finally, the 6th thing we want to encourage everyone to have as part of their recovery plan is service. Finding ways of helping other people who are struggling with this. Now, I believe that this is one of the keys of recovery and one of the areas why we find it hard for people to recover from sexual addiction as opposed to other addictions, because other addictions are a lot easier to talk about. And because this is so personal and there's so much shame attached to it, it's hard to find ways, to find places where it's really appropriate to be talking about this and encouraging other people in it. So we want to figure out ways, variety of ways that we can be helping other people in this. Really, this was the insight of AA, that in a way, kind of forms the basis of what started AA altogether, was Bill Wilson's recognition that if he was going to stay sober, he needed to talk to another person about drinking. And that was kind of one of the key commitments that these early folks in recovery had, is that they knew that if they were going to stay sober on any given day, they needed to talk to someone else about alcoholism. They needed to help another drunk stay sober, and that would not simply be about helping that person stay sober, but they knew that the process of helping someone stay sober would help them stay sober, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to find ways of reaching out to other people, encouraging them in their recovery from sexual struggle, because that's going to be an ongoing part of what helps us stay sober. Well, I hope that you found some of this helpful. Again, the key point, the bottom line takeaway here is we need a plan, and the plan needs to be something that we're actually doing something about on a regular basis. It's not just a vague intention. It's not something written that's put away somewhere that we never see again, but it's an ongoing thing we're focusing on and continuing to work.